More Star Wars. More Star Wars.
Allow them to have the materials to go ahead and actually build up on the high ground, and from this point forward they just had it for the rest of the game. Allow them to have the materials to go ahead and actually build up on the high ground, and from this point forward they just had it for the rest of the game. Allow them to have the materials to go ahead and actually build up on the high ground, and from this point forward they just had it for the rest of the game.
They're getting through his wood builds, not really freaking out too much until Aviv and Bugha see that white damage that they take onto the opponent, and then that's when they go in with the engage. They use the grappler blades, they go in and immediately grab the eliminations, and it's really that patience and understanding that Bugha just brings so much beyond other players.
Yeah, he's got a massive brain, and he does not mind letting the lobby know just how many steps ahead of everyone else he is. We wanted to highlight Cooper and Miro there as well. Just a couple key clutch moments. Remember, we're just trying to put on the best performance we can over these next 2 weeks, and for this duo specifically, especially again with that global championship title, we have high expectations, and after game 1, I feel like they're in a good starting spot.
Yeah, 100%. Still a lot to play for, and just got to give a big shout out to Cooper because he has taken on the role of an IGL so well. If you ever get an opportunity to tune into one of his streams, the way that he talks, he's always very, very descriptive in his comms, and it's just very, very easy for him to mesh with Miro. And then you just leave Miro in one of these situations where he's left as a solo. We saw this time and time again throughout pretty much every single FNCS we've ever seen Miro in. Throwback to when it was like him and Bugha, they were just trading, you know, solo clutches back to solo clutches. Just such a good duo.
That's right. Now we turn attention to the standings. So as a reminder, remember we have a bunch of lobbies all going on at the same time. So if you're looking up there, you're like, wait a minute, we just watched one game. Why is there 4 victory royales? Remember, there's separate lobbies all happening at the same time. So Zooks and Usain Bolt's over there. They got themselves victory on Kyra to Marine, Crackling Zone as well. So again, we're trying to just put on the best performance we can after the first 2 weeks. Then we're going to look at the series point leaderboard and say, hey, which are the best players? Now you're playing for the grand finals. So after game number 1, especially to see a couple names in there, I saw in seventh place, Clicks and Epic Whale, a duo I'm very excited to see. They've been taking it very seriously, but guess what? I'm getting word. We're going right into the action. We have more games, more action. So casters, over to you.
Thank you so very much, Zeke. That's right. There is so much action here. And the way the qualifiers are going to shape up is that we are going to continue to drop right into the rounds in the middle of the heats here as everything is playing out. Larson and Degen already positioning up. And mind you, keep in mind, this game is very much underway. Take a look at the zone here. It's half in, half out, right? We cut all the beginning of the fat, Taco. We're getting straight into the meat.
Yeah, and for Degen and Larson, it almost seems like they're playing bouncers, essentially, to some of these other teams that are trying to enter on the south edge of this zone. But Degen and Larson expect that they've got to be good on their surge damage, considering that they're not opening up any of their walls. They're not looking to try and create any edits to look for any sort of peaks. Probably also not trying to risk eating a sniper shot in return. We all know how rapidly that can go downhill if you are tagged, and then a team will immediately just try to key at you if they see any sort of damage that's cracking those shields.
Yeah, 100%. Can they find the shield opener? Can he find an opportunity to get on in there? That's what professional players will do. They'll take advantage of an inch, turn it into a mile. For Mason and Pen, they're already on the move here. Grapple hooks being utilized. Reciprocal, though, playing with Crims. This is a new duo, okay. Expect Reciprocal to mix it up. He was one of the few that actually stood true to his duo for several seasons, but now I'm a little different right now. Ooh, big tag though there, Taco. Okay, he's gonna be happy with that damage.
Yeah, it doesn't even bother seeing if he can immediately follow it up. It just seems as though the focus, again, is just maintaining a steady trickle-in of surge damage, so you don't have to worry about being under the damage threshold should it apply. But move into a slightly different section of Rebel's Roost here. We've got Jay Vaya and Baloney boxed up. Decent resources. No white heals, at least, on Jay Vaya, but hard to say whether or not Baloney might be holding onto the medkits, as we so often see duos choosing to split whatever resources they might have available to them. But it's going to be a positional move instead for Vaya and Baloney. Still keeping in mind that they're bound to have some pressure coming up behind them. I think that's why they're trying to get the move on now with these grapple blades. They know moving towards this hill might give them a good orientation of where the rest of this lobby is starting to collapse into the zone at. But Cash and Elash, seems as though they found Pen. Might be looking to aggress, but it's hard to work from the bottom up.
I respect it. Look at the zone though, Taco. This is really, really looking bad if you're on this this western side, which is everyone in the lobby at the moment. No one has decided to say, oh yeah, let me get a little more comfortable. Let me use this grapple blade to get a little distance. Now everyone's comfortable sitting on top of one another inside of this lobby. As we start to scope out, you can see running lists of players, names, a lot of names that I don't necessarily recognize. That's a good thing. This is their opportunities now. Tricks here trying to see what he can make happen. Meanwhile, he's got Dylan pushing up on his side though. Big tags coming in. This is a duo pushing with confidence right now. Let's see what Tricks can do. Defensive tag comes in, doesn't quite hit it. The second one is good, and another team shoots in, loses teammate. Pickett is down now. For Sams and Dylan, they already have 2 Elans. They might be able to reap the rewards. A knocked body here, and oh, it all makes sense. They were well below the surge. It's gonna force their hand here. Oh, they left a body, getting greedy for the loot instead of going for the tags. That might be a fatal error here.
Right now for Sams, Dylan, expending a little bit of that Forberry Fizz just to see if they can buy themselves some time, but they need, what, 2-3 good tags, and they're in business. But Sam's just barely any ammo to work with on that Striker AR.
Very fine.
And it's not looking much better on the Frenzy Auto either. Still 210 below. Sams and Dylan both know that they are essentially working against the surge clock here, because that gap is only growing. They're gonna have to create their own opportunity if they want to find themselves sticking this one out and not falling victims to the surge tag damage. Now it's gonna be Sams and Dylan trying to see if they can find another section of the map another section of the lobby to potentially try and find a little bit more of those tags in, but Dylan already knocked, likely due to the fact that just struggling there for the longest time. Reciprocal, though, on the other end of that, he's not struggling in the slightest. Love it. Every time that sniper connects.
Yeah, even with the sniper change, it does not matter. You give it to pro player, he's gonna make it work. The muscle memory kicks in. The shots start to connect. They make it look easy. Crims is down, so greeting for the loot there did backfire, and it seems like Reciprocal didn't grab much of it, like at least as far as the ammunition is concerned, because he's in a pretty tight just to go for heals here, so trying to give himself a condition to play for placement. That's what he's going to opt into. Meanwhile, sticks on hype here. Pretty solid alongside 411.
4 floppers, though, and 3 medkits. That's definitely a pretty good spot to be in as a solo with heals. But if anybody gets that elimination onto Reciprocal, they'll probably be happy with the loot that he might drop, depending on how those floppers actually work. But Mason and Penn just trying to do what they can to hold their current layer. Not necessarily full height just yet, but seems as though they are on that secondary height layer. Mason and Penn trying to do what they can to chop out the team on height. Vorteca and Sigma will be forced to drop momentarily, but it's not a full chop. It's more so Sigma looking to see if he can apply any sort of pressure, and Empen actually gonna have to pull back. Needs an opportunity to try and get some heals going. Medkit will buy in time for now. Swap off the medallions just so Empen can get some of that passive shield regen.
Yeah, you can see the regen kicking in here as they're on the rotate right now. Trusting and Mason to lead the rotate. Meanwhile, Victor, Blizzard trying to play their best as well. 3 eliminations here. Placement points are just around the corner if they can stay in. Respectable team in front of them. Caught Genesis there and Remix. Have to pick and choose their battle very wisely here. They don't actually even need to force it right now, but they are seemingly pushing the boundaries here, trying to really squeeze the lemon here. Liquid and Dino Antics, pretty good as well. He's on the move around the side edges here. Down another layer, so down to low ground they go.
But even with them being in this low ground, MDF, they're certainly not the only team that's being forced into the low ground. Ecto and Ian, they've definitely got a decent amount of builds, but nothing as far as shields is concerned. Only white heals available right now for Ecto. Doesn't really seem like he has an opportunity to pop it anytime soon either. But Liquid, big eliminations onto Doe and Salt Lover. Doesn't look like he was able to collect any sort of refresh though, so unfortunately for him, only 1 build and a dream to work through right now.
Yeah, and high ground clear as Dave, Vorteca, and crew. They're just gonna chill up there while the low ground is gonna be fighting for their lives right now, just outside the roost here. Let's see it. Prodigy, Dozier on the move right now, another solo. So these are all solos. Liquid's gonna pick up another elimination though. This is onto Fort 11 from Team WTJ. That's gonna bring him on up to 6 elans. He needs to pause down though, find a chance, but he doesn't have mats. Much as he wants to drink this big pot here, he just doesn't have room for it. Instead, he's gonna get crushed. A huge shot from up above. And now we jump over to Mason. Mason and Penn, like I said, that team's so high up. They don't even have an angle down on what's happening here. Mason out of material now. Penn back against the wall here. They try to fight with everything they got. Mason gets himself behind a team, misses the first shot. And just like that, Victor turns and burns. That's gonna bring him on up to 7 elans there.
But Victor still took a massive shot from Mason. Bound to pose some issues here for him as he will find himself getting knocked. Now it's Whopper, it's Kwongador. We're gonna drop to the low ground, see if they can find the last couple of players that are still left standing in this lobby. They don't have any white heals. They're just trying to run around the map as desperately as possible, but it's Blizzard with 4 medkits, make it 3. Sigma, only 2 medkits, but as long as Storm Sickness doesn't apply here for Blizzard, you have to imagine that he'd have the upper hand.
But there's other players in the mix here. and they might just have a decision or play at hand here. Oh, Kwanga, that's very nice, but medkit's still on Ian as well. I'm going to think it's going to come down to whether or not Kwanga can actually find elimination here. If he can find Blizzard or Ian, he might just have a chance. But Blizzard survives just a little bit longer. It's going to be enough for him to go ahead and out-survive all of the opponents who tried to sit there and play for the heal off that win condition, slowly but surely going in his favor. Look at that. It just shows you, even if you have high ground, doesn't mean anything if you don't fight for it, Taco.
Definitely very reminiscent right now, though, of what we saw in EU earlier today, MDF, because these players are not messing around as far as holding on to those white heal resources are concerned. I mean, we saw Blizzard 4 medkits is usually going to be enough, but the fact that he was even that close, Monster, it kind of tells you that there might need to be more pressure being applied from the teams that are on height, because if you leave these players to their own devices, you never know who's going to be sitting on a whole factory of sustain.
Yeah, NPen had the right idea. They were trying to fight for it. Unfortunately, didn't quite hit the shots, especially when we saw Mason jump down onto Victor and just miss. That clean miss was the problem. You can see it from Victor's perspective. He didn't miss a single beat. He hits every shot that matters, and that's what put them at least in a position to try and take this all away. But when you're on high ground like that and you have all that runway, you have to use your ammunition. Otherwise, you can see there, players like Blizzard are going to walk away with it. So excellent game, excellent showcase here, but there is still more action, Zeke.
There is, Monster. There is. I'm telling you, this fast-paced, like, lobby format, I'm in love with, man. It's so fast. You just hop in, there's action. And, you know, when we hop in, we're just in the back going like, what's happening? Why do they have no bullets? Wait, where are they shooting? What's going on? Like, there is kind of that, like, you have to orient yourself, right? And obviously for these players, they've already had this whole time to build up and get to this point. But for us, we're tuning in right at the best part of that game. It did not disappoint. What did you guys enjoy about that last game?
Listen, it was cool to see NPen and Mason up there, right? They were second high. They ended up running out of mats. Didn't use their remaining mats to go ahead and go for a refresh. But I just want to give a quick shout out to NPen. He's doing some like crazy subathon right now. He's on like day like 59, and he's out here still competing in an FNCS lobby. So you love to see that.
My favorite part was the anxiety that this game gave me. I just didn't really know what was happening when we jumped into it, but then I was able to follow Blizzard and Victor, who had an incredible run right there. Not just showing, obviously, you know, the heal-off meta is a bit more of a passive play style in the end game, but they showcased that it wasn't just this heal-off meta that they were focusing on. They also got 7 eliminations as well as the Victory Royale. So I'm excited to see how this duo, which we haven't seen too much of them in the past, is going to be performing throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And the casters kind of talked about this heal off, right? I feel like this lobby's got to be a little more proactive, right? You know these med kits are a thing. You know people are going to try and go for those heal offs. You have to try and combat that. Now, how you want to do that? Hey, you guys are the pros. Y'all figure that out. I'm just trying to give a little bit of advice. Let's take a look at the standings, though. I'm curious to see how things are going. If you're just tuning in, what's up? This is the FNCS. We've got 5 lobbies all going on at the same time. So if you're like, wait a minute, how is there 5 victory outs? More than 5 on that first page. It's just we've got a bunch of lobbies all happening. But I wanted to break down this kind of top 10, start here. Right there at the top, Booga and Aviv just sitting there very comfortably, 87 points. Now, there is quite a bit of time left, right, Vivid? But even if we just look at this top 10 list of names, I'm very excited to see how like the falling games will kind of play out.
Yeah, you know, we're getting back into the swing of things, FNCS-wise, right? Can't forget about Iamzo and Rise sticking together. It's good to see them have a very good game, number 1. And hey, listen, that good game out of Blizzard right there, clutching up with the medkit, puts them into 3rd place, which we love to see. And Kelly, look, another duo, very, very familiar, Muzz and Paper.
Oh, we got Muzz and Paper, we got Duke and Threads, Peterbot and Poyo, who we were talking about. But I do want to talk about Agers and Kanata. We got to see an awesome video of Kanata right before the show started. But they are the highest point team right now without having a Victory Royale. Ooh. And it's kind of crazy when you look at it. They have 16 eliminations right now. And even with a duo that has just 4 eliminations and 1 Victory Royale, they have more points than them. So I think that this is going to be a very placement-heavy tournament today compared to elimination-heavy games that we've seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. And guess what? The bus is ready. We're ready. We're going right back in the action. Take 2, this time with Acorn and Cold.
That's right. The action does not stop. Acorn and Cold are in the mix of it right here, and they have already picked up an elimination as the third party starts to jump in and put their influence into the mix. But Acorn has to pause down. It's up to Cold's hands here. Take a look at the elimination count for this duo here. Already at 7. What a monstrous game are we jumping into here. This lobby thinning out pretty quickly.
This is looking like Acorn and Cold saying to themselves, hey, our first match or two did not go the way that we wanted it, and now they are just on demon time because Cold with 6 elims, and we're only in zone 6 so far, Mia. Absolutely disgusting, but also kind of expected because Cold is just him. Sometimes he will full jump into a box and just walk out victorious. It's almost like he just never misses, and that is certainly a duo that I think is 100% trying to aim for a victory royale this match.
Definitely put a stamp on it. Earn the respect of the lobby, right? Remember, yeah, sure, everyone's landing wherever they want. It's a little bit of a, you know, a wild, wild west type of situation right here. Anything goes. However, once we start jumping into later stages, your performance here is going to matter, right? When you start determining, hey, this is a set lobby now. I want to have this piece of land, this little bit of real estate, this medallion drop, maybe, right? It's going to matter. Players are going to look at your previous performances and then have to make a decision. Do we really want to face that duo?
Yeah, and again, when it comes to Acorn and Cold, their first 2 game performances so far was a 35th and a 28th place. So I think that's why we're seeing Acorn and Cold really hit the turbo on this one, trying to play catch-up in points with some of those big elims. And if they wind up just keying the entire lobby that they're in, Monster, I would almost say that would be super detrimental for everybody else involved because that's just so much pressure to be applying this early on. But we'll have to check in with them a little bit later on, see how they're faring. Right now, it's all about Death and Polarize. And Polarize does not like his new neighbor. He's got to worry about Raiden making the approach from his west side, but Polarize, he's not letting up anytime soon on Raiden's walls, and that Thunderburst SMG definitely excellent as far as taking out some of these builds are concerned, just applying good pressure, just consistent pressure, and Raiden clinging to his last breath here. Just seems to have drawn the attention of everyone that he's a solo in a swarm of duos. That's going to be Death and Polarize that make use of that elimination that somebody else actually confirmed onto Raiden, but it doesn't matter as long as you're able to collect the resources.
Yeah, and Polarize and Depth, I mean, listen, this is a team that I feel really good about this season. SBG laughed at me when I was, you know, kind of hyping him up. I was like, look, Polarize has been on this uptick, dude, and he's got Depth feeling inspired to put in the work right now, making content on top of just grinding for comp, and I think that's the difference. We haven't seen that level of inspiration come out, I think, of Depth in a long time. But we jump in with Chimp here. Chimp lands himself inside this lobby. We see him essentially in that first showcase. They did pretty well, pushing their way towards the end game. This game pacing out to be a little bit better. Already at 2 elims so far. Let's take a look back at how they earned them. Pushes on in, takes all the real estate they need. A lot of distraction here, and the shots come in. In the process, they pick up 2 for their troubles, so that's not bad by any means. But look at this, Taco. Cold jumping in. Another player who's boxed up.
Yeah, it's just another box fight for Cold to win. I don't even know if I can necessarily qualify that as a box fight even. It's more like just an immediate elimination there for Cold as he's now up to 8. Acorn still representing. He's got the moral support there for Cold. You just know that Acorn's got the IGL calls like, hey, Cold, there's another box, another guy. Surely you can take care of that.
All the confidence in the world. Acorn and Cold here, not even building high, just enough to put some pressure on, and then W-key the player that was trying to grapple blade off to the side there. And honestly, they might be the only team. Yes, I was right. They are the only team on the back of this hill here on the back of the lobby. There's no one here to distract them from doing the work that they need to do. Full keying the lobby, exactly. And now look, fresh duo here, fresh boxes. What do you think he's gonna do?
Immediately run up on them. It's been a 100% success strategy for this team so far here in their 3rd match. Is now Cold, Acorn, I don't call this hesitation. This is more so Cold and Acorn, I think, just trying to make a smart approach. They know that they can probably key this other duo right next to them. Instead, they're going to take a moment to kind of scope out everyone else that's starting to make their way towards them. They've got the point of elevation here, and that's what matters most. Just outside of Rebel's Roost, near Lavish Lair, you can just see the white HP being ripped apart here. It's Cold now finds an elimination from deep onto creep. Never stood a chance. 12 elims already in tow for Cold and Acorn, and they're not letting up anytime soon. When we say full keying, we meant it, because Cold and Acorn are just collecting bodies right now.
This is crazy. 12 elims right now, and I must say, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't concerned at how they're just peaking right now in the sniper meta, but Cold does not care. Intuition is telling him he has the runway to do it, and he has taken advantage. Meanwhile, Acorn solidifying the fort here, so really leaving the eliminations to Cold, while Acorn is just making sure they're set up to win this game. And all the metal comes out. All of the metal comes out to super solidify the base, gives them the ramp, the tarp there. Look at that. Grapples his way back. Yeah, positioning is going to be key here. This is just an excellent spot to be in right now.
And directly underneath where we saw Acorn placing all those height layer metal builds, underneath those cones, it's going to be a death and polarized. But even if they're playing from the low ground, definitely a team that can handle a little bit of congestive pressure. But TK and Bacon, too much pressure, don't want to find themselves getting sandwiched in some of these low layers. Liberate Fizz gonna help them with trying to get a rotation into the next zone. A lot of these teams, though, definitely nobody looking to claim center zone just yet, Monster. Right now, it's just about whether or not they can even get a good position in the first place, because everyone just kind of stuck on top of each other.
That's right, but you know what? Acorn and Cold did everyone a favor, right? With the amount of eliminations they picked up already, performance must be feeling pretty smooth right now. So it's going to come down to who is going to just outperform, outshine the best of the best in this lobby right here. For Chaos Gaming and Company, it's time for them to start finding eliminations. They're going to need to go ahead and turn it on. There it is. They find the tags they need. That buys them the window, but it also turns off the surge, so they don't have to worry about that anymore. Acorn and Cold, interesting enough, opted to play a little lower than I thought they would have liked to, so that's going to give people an opportunity to fight for their positioning up top. You can see the Fizz and how it gives you that extra bit of mobility there. Does open you up to some angles, right, if you will.
Not sure, though, that angles are what Jackson's looking for. It seems as the survival is the only thing really on his mind. That was a potential successful revive, but unfortunately not enough momentum to actually keep pushing forward. Couldn't get that med kit off in time. A little bit tragic there, but Chimp and Scissor, we tapped in with them just in the last round, MDF. This is, again, one of those teams you were kind of calling, like, hey, Chimp, definitely somebody to look out for. And a team with 5 elims, it seems as though this has been a pretty key-heavy lobby.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Chimp. I've seen what he's capable of in person, on finals, right? There was a point in time where he was the new kid on the block, but he's gone, you know, through those hurdles. He's been in these big dog lobbies, you know, in the past, and this is really where he comes from. He comes from these lobbies that have decent players in open settings, and he's got to fight for it. And so far, they're putting up the numbers. They're putting up exactly what we expect of a team like Chimp now, right? He's gonna soon be he's the next wave of, you know, experienced player. Bacon and TK are on the heels here too, though. So he's also a team that has very much many FNCSs under their belt. Take a look at the high ground. Sphinx tries to come up, not going to be successful as Cole claims another one here. And then another one as he follows up into the bots, onto death here, and polarized. I was trying to gas him up. I was trying to give him the juice, but Cold is just different.
17 eliminations? You cannot be serious right now. Acorn still holding the high ground. Cold, he's just trying to add a couple more to the tally here as Chimp finds his 4th elimination. But Chimp and Scissor, they're stuck up against the likes of Cold and Acorn. who have just been absolutely tearing through, decimating the entirety of this lobby so far. Cold, waiting for the prime opportunity to strike, drops once he recognizes the split there from Chimp. Chimp doesn't have any sort of heals for the time being, but it's going to be trade out Nox here. Down to Acorn, up above. Still has 2 med kits in tow. Same as Scissor, so curious to see who actually manages to hold out longer here.
Yes, Scissors did have an extra one there, but I do believe that Acorn might have timed it just a little bit better. And look at this, he finds himself a nice little loot pile here. I think that was a flopper there, but he missed the chance to pick it up. Now it's going to just come down to whether or not he can play these med kits out all the way. He finds another one there. The shots come in from the side, and the zone does the rest. Acorn holds on by the skin of his teeth there, but they do it in fashion. 18 eliminations there, Taco. Just a spectacle. You need a big game, you put on a big game, and now they're back in the race.
Yeah, that was definitely huge. 3rd time's the charm, essentially, is what I'm gauging from Acorn and Cold. Just keying the entirety of that lobby. It was absolutely disgusting watching how many eliminations they were actually able to accrue there in the end, but Cold in particular, he just looked like he was a complete monster of this lobby. But I love that play at the end there from Scissor, because he's just kind of taking matters into his own hands. I mean, we talked about how the last match that we saw, it's just, hey, not enough pressure being applied, kind of letting this heal off go through, and Acorn nearly lost that last engagement if it hadn't been just a quick reflex on the wall toss-up.
In that play right there, yeah, Cold, got tagged hard enough for the zone to take him down, but he just completely outplayed Chimp. He edited the wall, but he didn't peek it. He was so fast, he edited the other wall and got the tag first in the exchange there. Just a wonderful showcase, wonderful play there, and that's what it's all about here.
Yeah, and again,
Man. So that's what that looks like. You ever go into a game and you think, why does it feel like I'm not playing the game? Like, why does it feel like you're telling me what I'm allowed to do and what I can and can't do, and you have all the stuff, but I feel like I'm going to win this, right? No? Wow. Acorn and Cold, they just took over. They just said, hey, you guys are not allowed to play the game. We've spun the web. You've fallen in the trap. 18 eliminations. That's the highest number we've seen today. But Viv, that number could go much higher.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, we love a classic Acorn and Cold type game. And this was just one of those things where Acorn and Cold, they were able to go ahead and take the high ground, but they weren't content with just leaving both of them up there kind of chilling and kind of like riding the game out, letting it go to heal up. No, Acorn played like 3-4 layers above Cold the whole time. Cold was wall to wall with everybody he possibly could be with. And the elims just kept coming in. And I was looking, I was like, who in the world let Cold get double mythics? Because we know exactly what he's capable of when that happens.
Yeah, that Nisha Striker AR from Fencing Fields just does so much damage, 234 DPS. And in the hands of someone like Cold, you can see just how devastating it is. During that game, I was freaking out saying, are they 3,000 above Storm Surge? I don't remember the last time I saw someone that high. But of course, when you're Acorn and Cold and you already have 8 eliminations where we're not even at the halfway point of the game, I guess you can't expect any less. But not just the aggression we saw from them, but also the tactical play style at the very end there, where Acorn and Cold decided to split up, seeing if Cold could get a few more eliminations. And then once Acorn saw, oh, that might not actually happen, I'm going to go and find more heals. And they got the victory royale because of that.
Just disgusting. Like, I just don't even... Like, this is, to them, this feels like this is just a normal lobby. Just hopping in, getting warmed up for the FNCS. A casual 18 elimination victory royale. No big deal. And again, this is just because of this format, right? With the 5 lobbies, things just can get extremely chaotic. But for Acorn and Cold, they've kind of experienced this chaos, right? They know what to do in these situations. So to them, it's like, oh, you're going to let us dictate tempo? Bet. We'll just go on to win a game. No problem.
Yeah, they also used to like just simply Cold 1v2ing Polarized and Death right there. Like, are we going to go ahead and mention that real quick? Because that is no easy feat. Love to see that though. But Zeke, listen, we got the leaderboard to check out.
That's right. Muzz and Paper in that #1 spot currently. Now, of course, we haven't had a time to check in with them as far as the games they're in. But Kelly, to see them at the top suddenly, like, this has got to be feeling so good for them.
Wow, and to have no victory royales but 112 placement points just shows that they are consistently making it to the end games here, as well as grabbing a few eliminations. We expected no less from Peterbot and Poyo, who have 22 eliminations as well. Some new names coming up into the leaderboard too, and a team that was once up first place, Aviv and Buga, dropping down to 8th.
Yeah, there's so many things that we need to check in, but you heard the bus. Going into our next game, and it's a duo I'm very excited to see how they perform. It's Clicks and Epic Whale.
That's right. It's the big boy Clicks here, man. Clicks, hey, he's really grown into his own, in these competitive season after season. Just recently, he revealed that Epic Whale's been one of his favorite duos to play with. And although they may not have performed exactly where they wanted to before, they have seen themselves continue to grow as teammates. So I think they're showing it right now. Look at this. Already at 5 eliminations here. Not too bad.
Yeah, and kind of just adding on to what you were just talking about, as far as Clicks and Epic are concerned, Clicks himself even admitting that he's like, hey, we recognize the fact that good things take time, essentially, is what I heard him talking about on his stream during opens. As we all know, Clicks want to stream everything possible. Loves making content, man. I think it's awesome to see that he seems to have really found a good sort of vibe with Epic, because a lot of times it can come down to just how well you're actually able to get along with your duo. And again, we see Clicks with 4 limbs, but the journey for as to how he got there in the first place, at least from 3 to 4, Clicks with the sniper rifle, that Reaper just collecting successful eliminations.
Yeah, talking about a big lobby. This is the who's who. Kanata, Agers are in the building right now. 10 elims collectively, so a monstrous game right here. Another team that is trying to continue to keep themselves in the conversation here. Kanata's talked about it. His goals this year are to find another FNCS win under his belt. He doesn't just want one. He doesn't just want to be the guy that has made it to that final stage time and time again. He wants more wins.
Once you get a taste, it's kind of hard to let go, if you think about it as well. I can imagine it'd only be more motivation to such strong competitors. And I think when we talk about strong competitors, it would be a disservice not to mention Rise and Yamzo in that conversation. Yamzo getting a good clipping of Ant there. But again, not looking to just rush forward. Even if the shields are cracked, Rise and Yamzo, certainly a team that can work very efficiently from a low ground position. And it seems as though they are cozy enough that they just want to maintain their damage threshold, but they're so far above it at this point, MDF, that they're definitely capable of just kind of waiting things out, maybe seeing if they can push the teams that are still stuck behind them and keep them kind of on the fringe here. Don't really let them have easy rotations into the safety of zone.
Yeah, and all in all, I mean, they're on the outskirts, right? You want to wait till the zone pulls, and look at that. Had they made a move, it would have been a mistake, because it does pull towards that northwest side, so they're going to find a lot of favoritism there. Meanwhile, the teams on the other side are going to have a pretty tough time. There is a huge dip, followed by a one-road track on into this new zone.